Perry accuser Derek Dixon sits down in a TV interview for the first time, sharing allegations of workplace assault and harassment. User claims that Tyler Perry denies, but Dixon says he's speaking out now to try to stop a billionaire who won't stop themselves.
Tyler Perry, the man who built an empire on family comedies and drama, a billionaire beloved by millions, has slipped out of the U.S. under a shroud of secrecy. Vanished without warning while the whole world still expects him to step on stage, shake hands, play Madea, and keep the train running at Tyler Perry Studios. Here's what we know. It's gone. Not gone on vacation, not taking time off, not even sheltering in some billionaire compound in Atlanta. Gone. Flight records, customs logs, and the latest sightings all point to Europe. And not just any corner of Europe either. The whispers have him in Switzerland or France, hiding in comfort while the walls close in back home.
5. Tell us about the first time you ever met Tyler Perry.
Yeah, I met him at his studio opening party in 2019. I was working for an events company, and we met, and he said to me, are you an actor? And I said, well, not right now. I'm working on it, but not right now. And he said, yeah, you are. We need to talk. You should get my number and we'll.
This isn't just the story of a celebrity skipping town to avoid awkward questions. We're watching a meticulously crafted exit, the kind of billionaire-level escape that makes the FBI sweat and keeps a dozen legal teams up at night. In the months before he vanished, Perry started dismantling his American life. He didn't fire sale anything. Instead, he quietly started listing his real estate, massive Atlanta estates, California compounds, a few luxury apartments in New York, all up for sale, each deal wrapped in more secrecy than a Marvel film plot. Not a single open house, not a single word in the trades. Instead, realtors were fielding all cash offers from LLCs with addresses in the British Virgin Islands and Luxembourg. Meanwhile, financial advisors were seen leaving his studio offices late into the night, dodging reporters and declining comment. By the time anyone noticed the money moving, it was already too late. Bankers in Atlanta started to raise eyebrows. Large regular withdrawals in the millions, always just below the reporting thresholds, spread across half a dozen banks. Some of the staff at Tyler Perry Studios noticed too, but didn't dare talk. He started skipping staff meetings. He just wasn't there anymore. You'd hear Mr. Perry is traveling, but nobody really knew where, one former assistant said, asking not to be named. Longtime friends, those same people who would swear they knew him better than anyone, got radio silence. Perry even started cutting ties with inner circle confidants, the people who helped him build his fortune, suddenly iced out without warning or explanation.
What made you decide to come forward with your story?
I wanted to speak out and not stay silent about it anymore.
This was not a panicked run, this was a chessboard, and Perry was moving the pieces one at a time. At every turn, we see signs of premeditation. Legal documents transferring ownership of cars, companies, and studio equipment, lawyers working overtime, then flying out to Zurich and Luxembourg in the middle of the week. We've seen it before in other industries. Wealthy moguls funneling their fortunes into offshore accounts, building a fortress of secrecy, so airtight even the IRS struggles to poke a hole. Why would a man with nothing to hide, as his legal team insists, need Swiss accounts, shell companies, and a flurry of asset transfers in the middle of the night? Is this about protecting his legacy or about burying the truth where no one can dig it up? And just as the public was still reeling from news of the allegations, the shock lawsuit, the interviews with Derek Dixon, and the emerging details about those infamous text messages, Perry's lawyers were on every network calling it a shakedown, a scam, anything but what it looked like. But even before the case made headlines, the warning signs had been there. Several insiders had pointed out that Perry started restructuring his empire long before the lawsuit became public knowledge. Shadowy bank records show accounts set up in Luxembourg as far back as 2022, with millions flowing in and out, all under generic company names. Businesses that never produced a single show or film. Swiss bankers, notorious for their silence, wouldn't comment. But let's just say nobody opens accounts like those just to avoid Georgia sales tax.
Looking for money to buy your silence?
No, I think I was looking for accountability on to what he did. I think what he did was wrong, and it needed to be something that would deter him from doing this to somebody else.
There's a theory picking up steam among some Hollywood watchers, and it goes beyond Perry simply running from his problems. What if this was always his endgame? For years, Perry has faced criticism over his business practices, everything from writers' strikes to allegations of exploiting actors. Then came the lawsuit from Derek Dixon, and suddenly the timeline gets fuzzy. According to court filings and on record interviews, Dixon described escalating misconduct, First the innocent texts, then more aggressive behavior, then outright physical advances. Dixon alleges Perry made his job, his entire career, contingent on keeping the mogul happy, and when he tried to push back, his character on the Oval suddenly caught 4 rounds to the chest. No, that's not a euphemism. His character was actually written out in a hail of bullets. Because nothing says it's just business like scripted violence as professional warning.
That was his way of showing his power over us and our careers, and that he doesn't have a problem with just one of us off.
Meanwhile, text messages from Perry to Dixon leaked in the filings are still making the rounds on social media. What's it going to take for you to have guiltless fun? Have you found that in therapy yet? Reads one. Another, I hope you let someone hold and make love to you. The lawyer for Perry called it all a scam. But those aren't exactly friendly boss messages. And behind the scenes, everyone's got an opinion. Dixon insists he was retaliated against, even saying, if I don't make him happy, I could stay gone on the show. His lawsuit didn't just claim harassment, it pointed a finger at a system. One where silence and loyalty are rewarded, and resistance means career execution. It's the kind of narrative that sticks in Hollywood, where every assistant knows the score and every agent knows the price.
We were over at his house. We're having some drinks in his guest house, and it was late at night, and he has a guest quarters, and said that you can sleep there instead of not driving. And his house is far from Atlanta and where I was living. And I got into bed, and then I noticed that he climbed into bed with me as well, and started rubbing my leg. And I jumped up out of bed.
But what if this isn't just one scandal, one bad story, one mogul in trouble? More and more, the whispers suggest Perry didn't simply run from legal trouble, he was pushed. As the accusations snowballed, so did the enemies. There's growing talk of a Hollywood blacklist at play. Insiders point to power brokers in LA and New York, names that appear on every board in every major studio, some who reportedly resented Perry's total control and outsider status. We've heard this before. Someone becomes too powerful, too rich, and suddenly the industry that loved him for a decade starts sharpening the knives. Even actors who once worked closely with Perry, like Alfonso Ribeiro, have come out swinging. Ribeiro's response to the idea of working with Perry again? I don't need or ever want that man to do anything for me. Cold, direct, and just ambiguous enough to fuel every dinner party theory in Beverly Hills.
What kind of a toll would you say that this has all taken on you?
I was extremely anxious. The calls got to a point where the calls and texts were almost every day. Just this constant state of like, if I don't answer, I will lose my job.
Then there are the ones who haven't spoken on record, but whose silence is telling. Former colleagues, producers, even old friends are backing away, and in Hollywood, the sound of footsteps receding is louder than any press release. There's even talk of a new surviving Tyler Perry documentary in the works, promising to blow the lid off years of rumors and backroom deals. The team behind the project claims they have a roster of alleged victims ready to talk, some with their own stories of exploitation and betrayal. Is it all opportunism, a cash grab on the heels of Perry's downfall? Or is there a deeper rot here, a story the industry has kept under wraps for years? As Perry lounges, if that's even the right word for someone watching his legacy go up in flames, in some lakeside Swiss resort or French chateau, the big question isn't just why he left, but who made him leave. The legal drama is just the start. Industry veterans, former staff, even some on Perry's own production team are starting to speculate. Was there a coordinated effort to exile him? Did rival producers or the very networks that built him up finally decide he was more trouble than he was worth? He was once untouchable, but now, whispers of betrayal and revenge are surfacing. That's the word from people who used to be in his corner. And if Hollywood's power structure is as petty and ruthless as everyone suspects, then Perry's vanishing act starts to look less like cowardice and more like forced exile.
Any of your initial interactions give you pause?
A few of them were, did give me pause, but they weren't bad enough to think like this was a dangerous situation in the beginning.
All the while, his fortune is still on the move. Nobody knows exactly how much he stashed overseas, but reports put his wealth north of $1.4 billion before the storm hit. There's a pattern here. Move the money, sell the assets, cut the ties, then vanish. And maybe, just maybe, wait for the heat to fade before resurfacing with a new identity, a new base of operations. Or, knowing Perry, a new film about a misunderstood mogul betrayed by the system. It's as if he's following a script that only he has read. Except this time, the stakes are higher, the villains are real, and the audience is the whole world. From secret accounts to the betrayal of friends, Tyler Perry's story has only just begun unraveling. But the truth might be more shocking than anyone imagined.
that's when he pushed me up against the wall and grabbed my again.
As Tyler Perry luxuriates somewhere far from American shores, it's as if his escape has poured gasoline on a fire that was already threatening to burn out of control. In the wake of his disappearance, his accusers are growing louder, their voices ricocheting from studio lots to social feeds. The lawsuit filed by Derek Dixon, the actor who once called working on Perry's series the job of a lifetime, is now only the headline act in a much darker drama. Dixon's detailed accusations, text messages, nights in guest houses, promises made and pulled away like a prize at the carnival, have opened the floodgates for a rising chorus of other voices, each with their own stories of dreams deferred and boundaries trampled. For years, we watched as Perry opened doors for young, hungry talent. Now we're hearing the flip side from those who claim their ambitions were used against them, leveraged in a system that rewards silence and punishes resistance. Everyone deserves to go to work and do their job without their boss trying to have their way with them, Dixon said, echoing a sentiment now picking up steam among actors, assistants, even some writers who never got the credit or the paycheck they were promised. The rumors swirling around Perry's empire have become impossible to ignore. Hollywood, a town built on reinvention and amnesia, suddenly can't stop talking about who knew what and when. Dixon's lawsuit was just the first stone thrown. The real avalanche might still be gathering above the tree line. Several industry insiders, once reluctant to speak, are now reportedly talking to attorneys, weighing their options as they watch the Perry machine grind to a halt. Some are saying it's only a matter of time before others come forward. The question isn't if, but who will be next. Is this the moment the so-called Madea mafia crumbles under its own weight? Or is this just another storm that Hollywood will conveniently forget once the cameras turn off?
The day after that, he called several times and I ended up getting afraid of what was going on the other side. So I picked up, and that's when he said, you know, he was sorry for what happened. He doesn't know why he did that, and that maybe he was self-sabotaging or something. And in the same call, he said, and don't worry, we're going to do your show.
It's the eerie silence from Perry's former inner circle that tells us something bigger is going on. Oprah Winfrey, who once described Perry as family, has so far refused to issue a single statement. No defense, no condemnation, just strategic silence. Every call to her publicist is met with a curt, no comment at this time. That doesn't raise eyebrows. Consider this. Sources inside O Network headquarters say a crisis team has been assembled vetting every old message, every joint project, every receipt. The last thing Oprah wants is for her own legacy to get tangled in Perry's unraveling empire. It's a far cry from the days when the two would appear together at galas, hugging for the cameras and talking about the power of second chances. Then there's Alfonso Ribeiro, the face of happy nostalgia for an entire generation, who stunned fans by openly declaring he'd never work with Perry again. What does he know? Was it just artistic differences, or something far more toxic behind the scenes? Fans have been dissecting every interview, every old social media post, searching for hidden meanings. When Ribeiro, the man who once directed episodes for Perry, snaps back with, "I don't need or ever want that man to do anything for me," the chill in the room is hard to ignore. If even the safe bets in Perry's Rolodex are ducking for cover, it begs the question, what dirty laundry is still buried in the archives? Other high-profile friends and collaborators are running for cover, quietly distancing themselves, pulling down old Instagram posts and LinkedIn connections. One LA producer who spoke on Background said, "This isn't just about one lawsuit, there are more stories coming, and some of them are going to make this look like the pregame show." Legal teams in Atlanta and Beverly Hills are reportedly scrambling, bracing for what one studio head described as a potential cascade of claims and exposés. As for Perry's own company, insiders say the mood is grim, with longtime staffers packing up personal belongings, unsure whether they'll ever work in Hollywood again.
And I said, stop, I don't want to be naked, I don't want this. And he was just like, no, I'm not gonna hurt you, and just continued. And in that moment, unless someone's been through something where they have their control over their bodies taken away, you don't really understand the kind of feelings that you get in that moment. It was almost like every thought came through my head to run, to fight.
Meanwhile, the industry's gatekeepers, streaming giants, studio bosses, publicists are stuck in a game of chicken, each waiting for the other to make a move. Netflix quietly shelved the promotion for Perry's latest project, hoping the headlines will blow over before release day. BET, the network that gave Perry his golden runway, hasn't issued a statement in weeks. The silence is so heavy you can almost hear the sound of contracts being shredded in back offices. If loyalty is Hollywood's most fleeting currency, Perry's balance just hit zero. Back in Europe, Perry seems to be rewriting the playbook for scandal survival. We've heard the stories: private jets landing in Nice, limos idling on the tarmac in Zurich, waitstaff in Monaco telling friends they served Perry on a yacht so large it blocked the sun. He's been spotted slipping into the lobby of an ultra-exclusive hotel in St. Moritz, then disappearing for days at a time. Someone claims to have seen him in the shadow of a castle near Salzburg, Austria. But of course, no one gets close enough to snap a real photo, just grainy glimpses from afar. It's the kind of lifestyle usually reserved for royalty, not a man with lawsuits nipping at his heels and a reputation dissolving by the day. This isn't just about luxury. It's about evasion, pure and simple. With enough money, Perry can buy privacy, time, and maybe even legal protection, but he can't buy back the trust that's now evaporating in the heat of scandal. The irony isn't lost on anyone. Once celebrated for creating opportunities for the underdog, Perry is now the poster child for a world where wealth equals immunity. If he never sets foot on American soil again, he still gets to wake up to lakeside views, spa breakfasts, and the soft comfort of knowing his accusers can't reach him. At least, not without an international manhunt. But the thing about running is, you have to keep moving, because the story will always find you.
To a point in the night where, we were both kind of feeling drunk, and I remember we were walking back to the guest area where I've stayed before, and there was this health monitor scale on the way. And I was like, what is that? And he said, well, you have to be in your underwear to measure, whatever, so you should do it. He reached down and pulled my underwear down and grabbed my
What's really chilling is how this might set the tone for a new generation of scandal. If Perry gets away with it, what's stopping the next billionaire producer, the next so-called humanitarian, from cutting their losses and jetting off to the Alps the moment things get ugly? The people who once called Perry a role model are now watching as he becomes a case study in reputation management. Or, depending who you ask, reputation escape. He's living like a king while the rest of us pick up the pieces, said one former colleague, who says she lost her job when the studio shut down production. We used to believe he cared about us. Now, we're just collateral damage. So here's where things stand. Perry's assets are still moving, his legal teams are playing chess, and his friends are playing hide and seek. But the truth, as messy as it is, isn't going away. New documentaries are already in the works. Anonymous sources are offering up receipts, emails, and diary entries. Some people are rooting for a comeback, others are calling for a reckoning. The only thing everyone seems to agree on is that Hollywood won't be the same once the dust settles.
He has said, turn around so I can look at you, and just commented on how I looked, and then he got up and left. So I thought after that instance, it was pretty clear that I was not interested in that type of a relationship. It was very, very strange. I think it's okay that people try to make a move or shoot their shot, but if they get rejected, I think that they should stop.
So what happens now? Will Tyler Perry ever return to face the music, or has he rewritten the rulebook for celebrity scandal, where the rich can run, hide, and leave the rest of us fighting over the scraps of justice? Is he a victim of a ruthless Hollywood takedown, or a man who finally got caught playing a game he couldn't control? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Conspiracy or confession, we want to hear it. Until next time, stay curious, stay sharp, and don't let the curtain drop on the truth.